At times last season, I was very critical of Tua's play. At other times, I was very positive of his play. So I figured this video would make sense for an off-season video. Talk about, his entire season in its entirety, what went right and what went wrong. We're going to start off with some negatives before we get into the positives. And on this play, you see how this concept is going to work. There's a couple of routes that could work, and what's going to end up happening is that Tua's first two reads, the deeper reads, just aren't going to be open. As you see, Tua fakes a handoff, sees that those aren't open, tries to take a check down, and the throw is just awful. I mean, look at this. I'm going to show the other angle. This would happen. This wasn't like a one isolation thing. I mean, this throw is nowhere close, and unless he was just trying to throw it away, which maybe that's how he throws it away, I don't know. But he did this several times. This was not an isolation thing. There were absolutely times when throws just got away from him. Typically, he's pretty accurate, but he would whiff on some throws. Like this one's another one. This is still in that Buffalo game, which, by the way, it happened way more in this game than any other game. Maybe the high pressure got to him. We've seen that happen to players. Deshaun Watson comes to mind in his playoff game, his first playoff game against the Colts. He missed a ton of throws, so that is a thing that happens. Maybe that happened with him, so I do want to be charitable here. But again, as you see, like on this one, it's going to be a cover 3 zone. This was late in the game, so it's a complete blowout. But, trying stuff, seeing if you can get things going. I still take into account this type of play, even though, again, his morale maybe was down. Maybe he wasn't playing as hard as he should have. I don't know. But watch what happens. So Tua takes the snap, and you see this is open, but Tua just overthrows it by a mile, and that's an easy interception. And that was an open play. And it's possible that he thought that his receiver was going to keep going instead of kind of stopping that zone coverage. But Mike Gesicki there, he should have stopped in that zone coverage. He did the right thing. I've never seen a team play it that you want to keep running into the safety. Like, no, you should stop in that zone coverage. So to me, I think that's just a missed throw. And again, this happened. I'm not saying it happened all the time, but it happened more than I would like, and I don't know if it's a footwork thing, because sometimes I do see like maybe a little bit of that, especially on the first play I showed, so maybe that's just it. But either way, it's something he has to clean up. It just is. And now let's talk some positives. There are some positives to talk about. Again, like I said, I praised him at times, I criticized him at times. I do not want to sit here and only talk negative, because there are some positives. And one thing that you keep hearing people say is that, well, he didn't throw it to guys who weren't open. Well, sometimes he did, and it often worked out for him. He was often rewarded. This is an example in the Arizona game. It's a cover 1 play. This is a good route against this type of coverage, but watch what's going to happen. So right when this play starts, Tua takes the snap, gets onto his second read, and again, that's something he does very well. He gets on to that next read. Even in some of these negatives, I'm like, yeah, that was a really good decision up until you missed the throw. So right here, you see how the receiver has the inside leverage. So a lot of times people might look at this and say, well, there's no separation. And that's true, but if you just throw it to the receiver a little bit more inside, that can work. And even though there's safety help who is currently cheating in that direction, as long as you get it there quickly, it can work. And as you see, this is a really accurately thrown ball. And I know Tua doesn't have the best arm strength, but you know what? You can make up for arm strength by making the right decision and making a quick decision. He made that decision very quickly, and he threw an accurate ball. So yes, maybe not quite as big of an arm as some of these other guys, but he makes up for it with his, at times, high football IQ, which is, I think, good. And there's something like this, which is timing. And I think his timing is very key. Because, again, for Tua, the reality is, he doesn't have the physical tools that guys like Joe Burrow and Justin Herbert did. That's, partially why those two guys had better rookie seasons than Tua. Tua does kind of have to be a lot better at this technical stuff if he's really going to thrive in the NFL. He has less room for error because, someone like Burrow could just break a tackle, run forward, and throw one off balance and get 30 yards that way. Tua doesn't have that, but that doesn't mean he can't be effective. He just maybe has a slightly lower ceiling, but I wouldn't say it's massively lower. Because again, timing is important on this play. It's a play against zone coverage, and watch what's going to happen. So Tua takes a snap. He is going to fake a handoff, and watch how, so right now is when the receiver he wants to hit is starting to get open. That's right now is when he stopped. Tua has already thrown this football, so he had to make his read a little bit quicker, and you could argue this could get him into trouble. He makes his decision a little bit quickly, but the defender makes a great read. Now it's intercepted. You can argue that, but that doesn't seem to happen too often, and as long as you trust your receiver, which he'll have receivers he can trust next year for sure. They should have an awesome receiving core if everything works out perfectly. So decisions like this make sense, and this is a good decision in my opinion. Like as you see, I mean, look at that. Just a beautiful, perfect throw, perfectly accurate, and perfectly timed. Again, you're going to have to be very accurate. He'll have to clean up those throws where he's just way off. And, you know, the timing is going to have to be very good, but he's already got one of those things down. So that's the plus. And one last thing is something like this. If I'm a Miami Dolphins offensive coordinator, what I'm doing is I'm designing a ton of runs for Tua. I want Tua to run with the football because he's really good at it. He's better than I realized. That was one of the things I was surprised about when I watched his tape, because I didn't know back when I was evaluating him in college, because I didn't really realize that was a big thing about him. But no, the guy can move. And even on this play, which this is going to be a little bit Lamar Jackson-y, and what I mean by that isn't necessarily you're going to think positive. I'm actually talking a bit of a negative and a positive, where there's going to be pressure, and at first he's going to run into the pressure. Watch how right when this play starts, there's pressure. He kind of runs straight into the pressure, but then he's going to get out of it. That's right out of the Lamar Jackson playbook of there's pressure, runs the wrong way, but still finds a way to get out of it. That's exactly what Tua did. Again, not saying he's Lamar Jackson, just it was a similar aesthetic basically, but also a very good run by Tua. Personally, if I'm being honest, I'm not saying you have to go crazy with this stuff, but I would love to see just like 2-3 times a game have a quarterback run. I think that could help set things up for you in a massive way. It could help your own running game. It could help, you know, get the defense into certain coverages that they don't want to be in, help your offensive line out a little bit, which had its issues last year. So I think there's a lot of value in having a running quarterback, and I think Tua could be that guy, even though he didn't really get too many opportunities. He only had about 100 rushing yards, and a lot of that was just scrambles. Of course, the flip side of having a quarterback run the ball a lot is that, you know, they could get hurt more. Tua isn't the biggest guy. He does have injury history, so I kind of get it. But personally, I just always had the mindset of, like, in football, everyone can get hurt at any moment. The most dangerous play for a quarterback is when he gets blindsided on a pass, as opposed to when he knows a hit is coming and at least has some way he can protect himself. And again, I'm not saying you should do it a lot, but I'd love to see him become like a 400 rushing yard guy as opposed to just the 100 in the limited time he had. Just get it a little bit up, get some design runs in there. I think that could help him a lot. My kind of main thing on Tua is that I do think that he's in a bit more of a tricky situation than these other quarterbacks because he doesn't have the natural arm strength, and he will miss a throw. I mean, again, watch the tape. I didn't just pick 2 plays in isolation. There were plenty of missed throws. But he does so much else well that you kind of do have to give him a second year for sure. I think they made the right decision giving him this second year. And after this year, if it doesn't work out, it might not. I mean, honestly, it's the kind of thing where it might take a few years. And that's kind of the frustrating thing about having a young quarterback, especially a guy like Tua, where he can't just sort of use his sheer athleticism to bail him out. He does kind of have to learn. But I wouldn't be shocked at all to see him become a good quarterback, like a maybe like an Alex Smith type quarterback. I could see that for sure. And, you know, if that happens and he does develop into like a top 15, even top 10 quarterback, well, then the Miami Dolphins are going to be awesome probably. So, yeah, interesting stuff. I do think there's some good and bad. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below. Always love hearing from you. And, of course, as always, thanks for watching.